Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome to the Triple Threat Podcast. Today on episode 2, this being our first mini flash episode, we're going to be covering the NBA, a bit of basketball, and what you guys can look forward to in the coming weeks for NBA. On today's episode, we're going to cover some of the larger trades from this past trade deadline. Going to speak a little bit about the past All-Star weekend and how that will affect fans and media alike. And then just a quick rundown on the current standings and some teams that you can look forward to in the coming weeks.
Go Wolves.
Yeah, something you're going to find out real quick. Miggy's a big T-Wolves fan. I'm a big Raptors fan. I think Jay's still trying to figure out what the color of a basketball is. But we'll get him there. Don't worry.
It's gray, right?
Colorblind ass over there. Anyways. So, trade deadline. Massive news. A few big moves. We're going to start off with the massive Mavericks-Wizards 9-player deal that saw Anthony Davis and D'Angelo Russell going to the Wizards and Chris Middleton over to Dallas. Now, this is a big move because with guys with names as big as Anthony Davis, you always have to key in on what exactly that means for all the teams involved. Big thing here is Mavericks going into full rebuild mode. Flag at the top of his rookie class this year is absolutely showing out, and Anthony Davis has barely played for the Mavericks after the huge Luka Doncic trade from the last year. So I think the Mavericks they're just done with the experiment at this point. But the big thing is that Washington's now taking on this huge risk of Anthony Davis and all of his injuries. Now, of course, massive talent, at 6'10", 6'11", power forward center split that can shoot like he can, handle the ball like he can, play like he can. You make those risks, but he's getting old. You don't know the kind of production you're going to get from him.
So who do you think won the trade then?
It's tough to say, Miggy, because the Mavericks got first and second round picks for it. They got rid of an injury liability and a pretty massive contract, as well as a player in D'Angelo Russell that is so inconsistent. Like he gives you 20, 25 a night sometimes, but most nights you're lucky if he breaks double digits. So the Mavericks, I think, in their minds they won because they just get to move on. The Wizards, however, probably also won in their minds since, let's be real, Wizards have been garbage for years now. They have been in just a perpetual rebuild. So I think to them, just getting the star power just to kickstart their younger players, that might be what they're going for. So, Miggy, it's a risk. I think it's a risk that's worth it, but don't be surprised if the Anthony Davis experiment just comes to an absolute close in Washington. Now, on the other end, Dallas did receive Chris Middleton, who is, he's a solid veteran. He was an all-star while he played in Milwaukee with Giannis. But, I think all that he's there for is just that veteran presence for Cooper Flag. Just get him going in the right direction because, that kid is special. He was special coming out of college, and he has not disappointed as the number 1 overall pick. So it could be a nothing trade. It could just be players moving, but Anthony Davis, man, that is such a big name. Next trade I want to go over is Warriors and Hawks swapping Kuminga and Porzingis. Now this one could be really interesting because Porzingis is a premier stretch big to go along with Steph Curry. And Steph Curry here at the end of his career, he's looking for somebody to help with the scoring load. So if Porzingis can stay healthy, again, injury risk, but if he can stay healthy, he's only 30. He still has time to grow and time to get back to that all-star potential that we saw years ago, especially with the Knicks. So I think he played the other night with Golden State. He came off the bench. He put up some solid points and solid minutes, and his shooting is there, which is the big thing. Now on the other side, Kuminga. Ooh, that's a name that has been swirling in controversy with Golden State recently. I mean, not even recently, for years now. Just a guy who never quite fit in, never quite had the role he wanted to, never got along with the coaching staff, but he's in Atlanta now. He's a Hawk. If he's going to bet on himself, this is the best place to do it, except for the fact that he's going to be fighting for minutes with the young Jalen Johnson and Risache. Two, I think, rookies. I think they're both rookies. Two guys who are massive ceiling players, and Kuminga's just running out of time. So those are some big things to look forward to, is just how does Porzingis come back playing with, coming back from this. I think it's an Achilles injury. I'll have to double check that later. So this is a big trade for Golden State, because either you get all-star Porzingis, or maybe even just high productivity, good role player Porzingis, or you get 30-year-old with injury troubles and you've just got Anthony Davis 2.0 all over again. One small thing about this trade is Buddy Hield also went over to Atlanta in the deal. Now, Buddy Hield he's long past what we expected from him, but if I would put money on him potentially being a dark horse. He's a solid three-point shooter, always has been, and he's got the motor and the effort to make the right plays. It's just, does he fit in with this young roster, and will he find shooting opportunities? Moving on to the next big trade is Zubac to the Pacers. Now, this, I think, is just a flat-out win-win. The Clippers get rid of a bigger contract. They get rid of a guy who does need the ball occasionally, and they open up more opportunities for Kawhi Leonard, who, as Miggy sitting next to me here knows, Kawhi and the Clippers have been on an absolute tear recently. For those listening at home, Miggy's got Kawhi on his fantasy team, so we've been looking into that quite a bit. But for the Pacers, they get Zubac, who's only 28 and is a constant double-double threat. The only issue is ankle injury concerns, but at his younger age, he should be a great fit along a recovering Halliburton and Pascal Siakam, who is actively in his prime and was an all-star this year. The Clippers do, in the trade, get Benedict Mathurin, which I didn't think would have been that big of a return, but he has been playing really well in the games leading up to the All-Star break and here post All-Star break. So I didn't think he'd get as much opportunity with the Clippers as he did with the Pacers, but he is playing really well alongside Kawhi Leonard at the moment. All right, we're about halfway through the trades, so just bear with me here. Next big one I want to go over is the Vucevic for Simons swap.
Vukovic,
but Vukovic is close enough there, Miggy. Okay. So this trade sees Vucevic go into the Celtics, which is dangerous. You have Jaylen Brown, who is showing that he can carry a team this year, and you've got Tatum, who, fingers crossed, you never want to see a guy with an injury like he has. Fingers crossed he comes back next year. The Celtics are second in the Eastern Conference right now, looking like a top team. And the idea of Brown, Tatum, with the all-star potential scoring center that Vucevic is, getting them an actual threat down at the 5 spot, is terrifying for Eastern Conference teams. And I'm a big Raptors fan. And as much as I like seeing players thrive, I am scared about next year's Celtics in this deal. Vucevic, post-trade, has been averaging 14 and 10 in 3 games post-trade. So he's looking solid. And I don't think he's had too much of a history with injuries, but he is a big man, so there's always that risk that you run. So as long as he stays healthy and Tatum comes back even 90%, Celtics could make a championship run next year. In the trade, though, the Bulls did get Anthony Simmons, which I didn't think too much of. I mean, he's a young player. He's fast. He's pretty athletic. He's got the skills, but he's not the guy you expect as a number one or even number two option. But he's been balling out. He's had 20 plus points in 2 of his 4 games since the trade, and he's looking good. And in this young rebuilding Bulls team, maybe he shines. Maybe he just becomes that all-star talent. I mean, I'm reaching a little bit here, but if he's able to settle in well, I wouldn't be surprised. Speaking of the Bulls, another trade that they're involved in is them sending Desomnu to the Wolves for picks. Now, I think this is just another sign that the Bulls are going into full rebuild, which I think they should have gone into years ago, but I'm no GM, so don't take my word for it. Desomnu's been solid, though. He's been shooting 56% from the field and 38% from three, playing alongside and behind Anthony Edwards. So as a guard pairing and just as that two-guard rotation, I think the Wolves were already solid. They're right in that top of the Western Conference mix.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, Miggy over here is a Wolves fan. I think I mentioned that earlier, but regardless. Playing behind Ant, and as long as Desomna keeps shooting the way he is, that's a solid win for the Wolves. The Bulls, on the other hand, receive 4 second-round picks, ranging from 2026 into the early 2030 decade here coming up. So we'll see what the Bulls make of it, but for the time being, Desomnu to the Wolves. Another trade for the Bulls. You can see why I think they're going to full rebuild. The Bulls are sending Kobe White to the Hornets for Sexton and some picks. Now, Sexton and White are very, very similar players. It's just that Kobe White is slightly better than Sexton, and I think like a year younger. So it's in the active players involved in this trade. It's kind of a nothing trade if you really want to look at it. You're kind of just swapping a starting point guard for a borderline starting point guard. That being said, though, White is currently out with injury, and Sexton has been playing the last few games for the Bulls, and we all know Colin Sexton, or at least those who follow the NBA space. He will run you into the ground with his effort, so he's keeping that up. He's savvy, so the Bulls will get good use out of him. The Hornets are on the weird end of like a half rebuild, half contention, and I'm not sure what they plan to do with Kobe White. I mean, I guess you could slot him in at the backup point guard position behind LaMelo Ball, but we'll see how they do with that. All right, so with the Hornets and Bulls trade out of the way, I'm going to get into a couple smaller trades here before we end up with some, quite frankly, massive trades that came out of left field for me. So Raptors get Trace Jackson Davis from the Warriors. Now, it's small. There wasn't much going on in this trade, but the Raptors got what they needed at the trade deadline, or one of the two things they needed at the trade deadline, which was center depth. Now, Trace, in his Raptors debut, had a double-double in 15 minutes, 10 points, 10 rebounds. I don't expect him to start. I don't expect him to get more than 12, 15 minutes on a nightly basis. But playing behind Jakob Poeltl and Colin Murray-Boyles, having that third true traditional center just opens things up for the rest of the Raptors team. And I mean, the Raptors are already a surprise this year. They just needed upgrades. They just needed this, and this was one of the upgrades they needed. Mind you, the three-point shooting is still awful. They're still bottom of the league. But Trace Jackson Davis helps them with the rebounding, and that is a big thing they needed. Another small trade was Luke Kennard going to the Lakers. Now, the Lakers were, albeit inconsistent and kind of patchworky, they're a good team even before this trade. I mean, it's kind of hard to be a bad team when you've got Luka Doncic entering his prime. You've got LeBron, who's still balling out the way he is. But anytime a team can get consistent three-point shooting from a proven player, not just some guy that you expect to shoot well, but from a guy who has shown it at this NBA level throughout games, in clutch time, it's always a plus. So look for the Lakers to make a little bit more noise at the top of the Western Conference in the coming weeks. Now, I'm going to leave you guys off with 3 big name trades. The first one, which caught me and even Miggy off guard a little bit, was Trae Young going to Washington for CJ McCollum.
Because weren't you saying how Washington was on the bottom end of the standings?
Washington is at the bottom. But yeah, no, to answer your question there, Miggy, like, I didn't expect Washington to be making what are essentially win now trades. You know, I spoke about the Anthony Davis trade earlier, and now they're bringing in Trae Young. It's patchworky, and it's so high risk for a team that, honestly, I think it's the general management is feeling pressure from the fans, and they're just trying to make like big name win now moves. But it'll be interesting to see how it pans out, because Trae Young, he's undersized, he can't defend, he's a little injury prone, which is not good for a point guard. So like I don't know what Washington is hoping to get out of him, but we'll have to see. As for CJ McCollum going to the Hawks, I think that's just another veteran guard presence on a young roster. Atlanta is just I think Atlanta made the right move. I think getting rid of Trae Young, opening the door for their other young players who are showing more upside, and just getting that steady 3-point shooter into the locker room is honestly just great for the Hawks. Washington, I think, as of this very moment, you can't really say if they won or lost any of these trades, but it's so coin flippy on if they'll actually see any benefit from this. The next big trade I want to talk about is Jaren Jackson Jr. going to the Utah Jazz from the Grizzlies, in a 8-player trade. I know that the Grizzlies have had some personnel trouble with John Morant, and they got rid of Desmond Bane last year. This move it screams desperation. Like, the Utah Jazz have been kind of bottom feeders for a while now, so the Jazz just, like, it's a big name that they're getting into the locker room alongside Markkanen. I mean, it's a dangerous front court pair, but I don't think it's a win now move. It's big names, but I don't think it'll work, not in today's NBA. And as for the Grizzlies, like, I guess this is their attempt at just a full tear-down rebuild. Just move on from the young core that they've had for the last 4 or 5 years. Get rid of Triple J. Probably get rid of Morant in the upcoming months, especially if he keeps acting up the way he is. But it's a massive trade involving a lot of players. But we'll see. And the cherry on top of this trade deadline, James Harden to the Cleveland Cavaliers for Darius Garland. This was not a trade I think even I could have cooked up on a fever dream at 3 a.m. The Cavaliers have been top of the East contenders. They're a little underperforming this year, but they've been contenders at the top of the East for the past 3-4 years. Donovan Mitchell, Darius Garland, they've been leading them to the playoffs. It's been a bit disappointing, but they're there. They're there. The Clippers, on the other hand, they had that awful start to the season, but, James Harden, Kawhi Leonard, they were really putting the pieces together. I mean, I think they've been something like 25-6 in their last, 31 games. Like, it was making sense for both teams. And then to swap Garland for Harden, I mean, I know Garland has been injury prone, but he's a young player with lots of upside. He's shown it. But I mean, it's working for the Cavaliers. I mean, Harden has come into that team and given that scoring presence, that ability to handle the ball, and just taken pressure off of Donovan Mitchell, which is working really well. I think they have like a top 3 offense in the league since the trade. So, I mean, it's working for the Cavs. Like, it is really working. And maybe the thought from the Clippers is old Kawhi is back. You know, all-star, finals MVP Kawhi is back. Put the rock in his hands. And, you know, James Harden, he's very ball dominant. Maybe they just didn't want that kind of player. You know, Kawhi's on the up and up. The team's winning. Like, and Garland is young. The Clippers are old. So maybe it's just get some young guys in there, just secure a bit more of their future. Because Kawhi is on his way out soon. Like, he doesn't have that many years left, but he's playing crazy. So, like, it's a good trade. I wasn't ready for it. I wasn't expecting it. The other issue is Garland is currently out week to week. So we'll have to keep an eye on his injury status. But that about wraps it up for the trades. So the next thing I just want to go over is this year's All-Star Weekend, which I'll just preface this now. The NBA won. They figured something out with this All-Star Weekend, and I'll get into that in a bit. The three-point contest. Damian Lillard won his third contest. It was closely contested, as the three-point contest usually is, but the name I really want to talk about is Con Kneppel. He is top 2 rookie in the Rookie of the Year race right now. It might be bold to say, but I think he is the future of sharpshooting. You've got a young kid. He's got a very similar release to prime Klay Thompson, and he is balling out of his mind. So do pay attention to him. I wouldn't be surprised to see him in future three-point contests. I wouldn't be surprised to see him lead the league in three-pointers for years to come. The slam dunk contest obviously draws a little less viewership than the three-point contest, but just to sum it up, Kashad Johnson did win, and while the slam dunk contest as just an idea probably needs some revamping, don't ask me how to do that. I mean, the slam dunk contest has been around for decades. Although it does need some revamping, especially in terms of entertainment and whatnot, the final round between Johnson and Carter Bryant was close. It doesn't give, Eric Gordon, Zach LaVine vibes, but it was closely contested. It was a good show, better than some of the last few years. So it's in the right direction, but it's gonna need some work. The Shooting Stars contest. Just to sum it up, Team Knicks won it this year. I'm not quite sure what the league is trying to do with that whole competition. It seems like just an excuse to get old players back in Hall of Famers and some celebrities involved. So that one's really just for show. We're not going to spend too much time on that. The two big things I did want to spend a little bit of time on is the Rising Stars game and the All-Star game and the format that they used this year. All right, back to talking about the Rising Stars and All-Star game. So, the Rising Stars, I guess, tournament. Team Vince won in the end. The team format of having 4 total teams and just running a tournament worked. I really have no other word to use for that. I mean, it's been years of just rookies versus sophomores, or 2 teams with, Hall of Fame players coming in as coaches and drafting them and just having one non-intense, non-competitive competition. But I don't know if there were incentives for the players or what, but it was intense. Like, these games were good. They were close. It was entertaining. And you got to see just the talent, the young, raw talent that's in the NBA this year. I mean, it's been a while since we've seen a draft class so complete, if you want to put it that way. I mean, you've got Cooper Flag, Knipple, you've got those guys at the top who are playing like they're supposed to. And you have other guys that you weren't expecting. You've got Colin Murray-Boyles. You've got guys at the top of the class like Cooper Flag and Con Knipple, guys that were expected to play well and have played well. I mean, how many times do we see top 5 picks just not perform and they're out of the league in 2-3 years, however long their rookie contracts are? But this rookie class, they're playing. They're here to stay. They are here to compete for those starting roles. I mean, you've got guys like Jalen Johnson, who might lead this Atlanta Hawks into their near future. You've got guys like Colin Murray-Boyles, who was a first-round pick, I think. But he wasn't expected to be getting consistent minutes on the Raptors, and yet he's starting for them as Jakob Poeltl is coming back from injury. I mean, this rookie group, these young players, the NBA might be in good hands again. I'm not expecting this to be an 03 draft class. I'm not expecting
a miracle.
A miracle, yeah. And quite frankly, the NBA sometimes feels like it needs it. But these young players are looking promising, and I think it is worth it we as fans to really pay attention to these young players and just hopefully, I pray that management and coaching does the right thing and allows them to grow and blossom into future All-Stars, because these guys look good.
Now, while you were watching that Rising Stars
game, yeah.
Was there any rookies or sophomore or just stars that are rising? I know this is a little repetitive, that you saw that you were kind of surprised at how they did.
Honestly, I can't quite pick out a single player. I know that is an awful answer, but it's the truth. Like, it's so hard from these All-Star games to really get a grasp on who's playing well, because one guy might have a really good game in the All-Star game but be the worst of the draft class, right? But if you look at the way these guys played and competed, and then you look at their regular season stats, I mean, you've got Flag, you've got VJ Edgecombe, like, you've got some of the other guys I've mentioned that are playing proper minutes. They're being efficient. They're effective. They're actually contributing to winning. You don't see this. Like most draft classes, you see like a very small handful of players actually contributing to winning. These players are making their teams better across the board. So, I guess to answer your question, I'm just excited for all of them, really. Speaking of All-Stars, though, the All-Star games this year and the format that they ran with was a win for the whole league. I mean, at the end of it, Team Stars, which is one of the American teams, won it all. But the 3 seeding games all came down to the final shot. All 3 of the seeding games during this year's All-Star game were close. They were competitive. I mean, all 3 of them came down to, without exaggeration, buzzer beaters. Like, final shot. Like, it was 1 point, 2 point, 3 point games. These were wire-to-wire competitive games. Now, the championship game was a little lopsided, but it was still... Look, man, it was 47-21. Yeah, a little. Point being, it was entertaining. It was competitive. I mean, you had guys like Victor Wembanyama and Anthony Edwards just going at it. I mean, Victor. Like, the league, like I've already said it, like the league's in good hands with these rookies, but Anthony Edwards, Victor Wembanyama, you got an old Kawhi Leonard scoring like 30 out of a team's, I think it was 48 points in one of the seeding games to win the game. He even hit the game-winning three-pointer. I mean, it has been ages since even I, as a lifelong NBA fan, have wanted to watch an All-Star weekend. I couldn't take my eyes away from the screen. It was so enjoyable as a fan to see real competition, real effort. And you know what? The NBA, props to them. I didn't see the vision. When I heard that it was this 3-team round robin, like world versus America, I was skeptical. I thought it was just going to be some aesthetic BS, but it worked. I keep saying it, but it worked. And if they keep this up, if this is what we can expect, I look forward to next year's All-Star weekend. So just some closing statements on this episode. I just want to go over a few teams that are underperforming, overperforming, and who I predict that you should watch in the coming weeks. So, overperformers. The Detroit Pistons. Nobody thought that they would be at the top of the league. They are fighting the Thunder for the best record in the league on a night-to-night basis. They are young. They have players like Cade Cunningham. Ooh. They are young. They have players like Cade Cunningham and Jalen Duren who are performing every night. And it's surprising. Like I didn't think the Pistons would be back. I mean, they're the bad boy Pistons 2.0. And it's honestly a breath of fresh air.
I think right now they are actually holding the best record.
You know, Miguel, I think you're right. I think after their game the other night, I think it was against the Knicks. After their most recent win, they have the best record, which nobody thought the Thunder were going to be eclipsed for best record, especially after the start they had. More of our performers, Celtics, I kind of mentioned it earlier. Jaylen Brown is carrying a sinking ship, and they are top 3 in the East. You know, props to him. The Rockets are playing very, very well. KD is playing like he's in his prime. Jabari Smith Jr. is playing well. The surprise here is that Fred VanVleet is still injured. You know, your expected starting point guard and previous All-Star is missing. You know, you don't have him, and yet you are competing in the West. The Spurs, I guess you wouldn't say really overperformers, but they are playing well. Victor Wembanyama is, you know, after his injury especially, he is coming back with a vengeance. You know, you've got young guys like Castle playing well. That Spurs team is dangerous, and they're fun to watch. Another team that's been overperforming, the Phoenix Suns. I mean, they're sort of in the middle of the Western Conference right now, but everybody expected them to be bottom feeders. I mean, you have All-Star Devin Booker, obviously, but I mean, the Suns have struggled. They are still recoiling from the failed experiment of Kevin Durant and Bradley Beal. But Dylan Brooks, of all people, is playing like an all-star. I mean, half of me is surprised he didn't make it to the all-star game. Half of me realizes why. But they are competing at a level they shouldn't be. So, I mean, props to the Suns. And the last overperforming team I want to mention is my Raptors.
So are you saying they're not making the playoffs?
No, I'm saying the Raptors shouldn't have made the playoffs, but they're going to. Mark my words. As a Raptors fan, my bias will show right now, they will make the playoffs. They are fighting for that top 3 seed in the East, and everybody expected them to be bottom 5 of the Eastern Conference. Bullshit. No, it's not bullshit. Maybe it is, and regardless. The Brandon Ingram trade has worked out. And that's what matters. Scotty Barnes is an all-star. Brandon Ingram, when everybody thought his career was over, was an all-star. This Raptors team, they're on a bit of a skid. They might slip to the middle of the Eastern Conference, but the fact that they're competing for a top 5 spot while everybody expected them to be bottom of the league, crazy. Quickly, underperformers, Milwaukee Bucks. Giannis, get out of there, please. Like I don't know why the Bucks held on to Giannis at the trade deadline when obviously they don't want to surround him with any good players. But, I think they're in either 12th or 11th in the East right now. They are not doing great. The 76ers have been underperforming, although as of late, they are playing well. I mean, they're at the top of the East, so you can't really say they're underperforming, but, Joel Embiid's always out with injury. They always play below expectation. You want to see more from them. The Mavericks as a team have underperformed. They lost Luka. Anthony Davis never played. They were supposed to be middle of the pack. They're bottom. But, shining star, Cooper Flag. Enough said. The last team I want to go over is a team that were underperforming for the start of the season, but have risen like the sun, the LA Clippers. They started off so bad. Everybody was telling them to just blow it up, just start again, try again next year. Kawhi motherfucking Leonard.
He put his big boy pants on.
He put the shoes on. He pulled up his pants. He said, give me the ball. He said, give me the ball and watch me work. And the Clippers are fighting in that middle pack of the Western Conference. So, just to close things off, some teams to watch. Pistons, can they keep up their season performance so far? Celtics, will Jaylen Brown continue to prove us all wrong? The Cavs, will this Harden-Donovan Mitchell pairing last till the end of the year? Does it have any future proof? The Raptors, actual contenders, or are they just frauds that are waiting to fall? Atlanta Hawks, can their young core prove dividends in the coming years and coming weeks? And the Bucks, what will the Bucks do post-trade deadline where they didn't move Giannis and signed a previously waived Cam Thomas? The Thunder, are they frauds or will they find their stride again? The Spurs, can Wemby lead this young team to a deep playoff run post-Popovich era? The Denver Nuggets, is Jokic the same player after this injury? Is Murray more than just a second option? The Rockets, can KD keep carrying this young core, and can this young core keep supporting KD? The Suns, how far can Devin Booker and a revamped Dylan Brooks actually take this team? And the Clippers, what does this hot streak of a team look like post-Harden trade? What will Kawhi and Mathurin make of the rest of the year? This has been the NBA basketball flash episode. Thank you for your time. Thank you for listening. The mic is turning off.